The new film VT68 about the Astra TT convertible builds on the film VT66. That film showed the general functioning of the folding roof, the micro switches and sensors, measurement, the removal and installation of the trim, individual components, and the entire folding roof. This film focuses on the work of the hydraulic system, the seals, and making adjustments. Some of these operations can only be carried out by certified servicing workshops. There have been some changes since the launch of the Astra TT model. The shims for height adjustment of the fasteners have been discontinued and replaced by steel discs with Pertinax washers. The multi-hinged luggage compartment lid now has a lock. When the easy load function is raised, a lever prevents the luggage compartment lid from being closed. This avoids damage to the roof forward section due to accidental closing of the luggage compartment lid. When the easy load function is moved down again, the lever is released and the luggage compartment lid can be closed. The motors of the rear shelf flaps have been renewed. In the event of damage, both motors therefore have to be replaced in vehicles from model year 07. The water drain hose has a new mounting. The luggage compartment lid flaps have new support brackets so that they can be secured in the retracted position. The routing of the hydraulic lines has been modified. It's important to ensure that the hydraulic lines are reattached with the same number of cable ties in exactly the same position and direction. The exact routing of the lines and the position of the cable ties can be found in the service literature. The following chapter deals with the replacement of the front fastener hydraulic cylinder, with the accompanying hydraulic lines and the replacement of the main bearing hydraulic cylinder. After servicing work on the hydraulic system, the bypass screw on the hydraulic pump must always be closed. Check the filling level of the hydraulic pump by checking the filling level marks and top up with hydraulic oil if necessary. Fit the interior trim for the luggage compartment so that the folding roof can be moved. To check and vent the system, open and close the folding roof 4 times. Finally, Check the filling level of the hydraulic pump once again by checking the filling level marks and correct it if necessary. To remove the front fastener hydraulic cylinder, depressurize the hydraulic system by loosening the bypass screw until there is slight resistance. Subsequently, remove the roof interior of the roof center section. As an example, we're showing removal of the hydraulic cylinder on the right-hand side. Undo the nut at the rear end of the hydraulic cylinder. Unscrew the 2 bolts on the cylinder mounting plate. Push the fastener rod assembly to the rear. Remove the mounting plate and remove the hydraulic cylinder from the rod assembly. Undo each bolt and remove the hydraulic lines from the hydraulic cylinder. Protect the interior from any escaping hydraulic oil. Close off the hydraulic lines and cylinder. If necessary, replace the hydraulic lines as shown in the following chapter. Trim the threads to remove remains of the old lock washer. Attach the supply and return lines to the hydraulic cylinder and bolt them on. Attach the mounting plate. And bolt it on with new micro-encapsulated bolts. Then fit the piston rod. Fit a new squeeze lock nut. Tighten the nut and the 2 bolts to the correct torque. Fit the roof interior of the roof center section. And finally, carry out the test and venting cycle on the hydraulic system. To replace the front fastener hydraulic lines on the right-hand side, put the steel top into the service position. Unscrew the 3 bolts on both sides and remove the folding roof center section. Remove 3 bolts and remove the right-hand side C-pillar trim. The procedure was shown in detail in film VT66. With the roof closed, remove the interior trim in the luggage compartment. Depressurize the hydraulic system and, as shown in the previous chapter, remove the folding roof fastener hydraulic cylinder, remove the hydraulic lines, and close them off. Protect the interior from any escaping hydraulic oil. Cut the cable ties. Remove both hydraulic lines and the wiring harness for the rear window heating from the guide. Cut the rear cable ties and open the flap of the cover at the main bearing. In the luggage compartment, disconnect the wiring harness plug, unclip the hydraulic lines from the guides, cut the cable ties, and loosen the hydraulic lines. Unscrew the 4 bolts holding the hydraulic unit. Disconnect the 2 wiring harness plugs and remove the hydraulic unit. Pay attention that no hydraulic oil is allowed to escape. Unscrew the bolts for the hydraulic line's retaining plate. Move the hydraulic line's retaining plate to one side and replace the hydraulic lines. The lines are numbered to avoid mistakes. Push back the hydraulic line's retaining plate and tighten the hydraulic line's retaining plate bolts. Reinstall the hydraulic unit connect the 2 wiring harness plugs and tighten the 4 bolts for fixing the hydraulic unit. Install the hydraulic lines loosely. Pull the lines through the rubber guide on the main bearing. Fit the cable ties loosely at first. Fit the hydraulic lines to the hydraulic cylinder as shown in detail in the previous chapter. Place the hydraulic lines into the roof center section line guides, stick on the foam pad to protect the flap, and tighten the cable ties, starting at the hydraulic cylinder. The markings on the hydraulic lines must match the cable ties. Then tighten the remaining cable ties. Caution! The cable tie closures must point upwards to prevent them from being sheared off. Lay the two hydraulic lines and the wiring harness for the rear window heating into the line guide. Place the marked hydraulic line so that the marking is at the edge of the cover of the main bearing. Close the cover of the main bearing and secure it with a cable tie. The cable tie closure must face downwards. Connect the hydraulic lines and wiring harness for the rear window heating with another cable tie at the rear. Ensure the wiring harness for the rear window heating is correctly placed on the cover of the main bearing. Clip on the line guide cover. The exact routing of the lines and the position of the cable ties can be found in the service literature. In the luggage compartment, reconnect the wiring harness plug, insert the lines into the line guides, and tighten the cable ties. Finally, carry out the test and venting cycle on the hydraulic system. Put the roof in the service position and fit the C-pillar trim. The adjustment of the C-pillar trim was explained in detail in the film VT66. Fit the folding roof center section. See item 5.2 for how to adjust it. To remove the main bearing hydraulic cylinder, the roof must be closed and locked. Remove the trim from the luggage compartment. Depressurize the system in the hydraulic unit by loosening the bypass screw until there is slight resistance. To remove the hydraulic cylinder, first remove the upper bolts on the hydraulic cylinder. To do this, unclip the bolt lock and pull out the bolt. Squeeze the hydraulic cylinder. In order to show the rest of the procedure better, the upper interior trim of the front side wall has been removed. Replace the upper bolt to prevent the main bearing rod assembly from moving. Take a large screwdriver and unlock, bend and lever off the retaining clip on the lower bolt. From the other side, push out the lower bolt with a long pair of bent pliers. And remove it. Cut the cable ties for fixing the hydraulic lines to the rod assembly. And from around the hydraulic cylinder. Push back each hydraulic connection securing clip. Remove the hydraulic lines and close them off. Protect the work area from any escaping hydraulic oil. Now the hydraulic lines can also be replaced if necessary. For the assembly, reinstall the hydraulic lines on the hydraulic cylinder and secure them. When fitting the hydraulic cylinder into the main bearing, ensure that the upper hydraulic line is laid in a loop to prevent the line from twisting. Fit a cable tie around the hydraulic cylinder and the lines. Reinstall the hydraulic cylinder. The upper interior trim of the front side wall was removed to show the fitting of the lower bolt more clearly in the film. From below, push on a new retaining clip until it clicks into place. This is also shown here on a model to make it quite clear. Widen the hydraulic cylinder again. Remove the bolt that was holding the rod assembly in place. Position the hydraulic cylinder at the top and fix in place with a new bolt. Using a cable tie, fix the hydraulic lines to the rod assembly. Finally, carry out the test and venting cycle on the hydraulic system. After servicing work, it's often necessary to perform adjustment work. The following sequences show how to adjust the rear shelf and the rear shelf flaps and the luggage compartment lid flaps. To adjust the rear shelf, the folding roof must be open. To be able to make the adjustment, the head restraint cover must be properly adjusted. A further prerequisite, the adjustment of the luggage compartment lid, was shown in the film VT66. Start by checking the gap measurements of the rear shelf. If the gap measurements are not correct, they must be adjusted. Operate the folding roof until the rear shelf is raised. On both sides, loosen the two upper bolts and the two lower bolts until the rear shelf can be moved by applying light pressure. Operate the folding roof until the rear shelf is lying flat again and can be adjusted. Then, operate the folding roof until the rear shelf is raised. And fix the bolts and tighten to the correct torque. Fully open the folding roof and finally, check the gap measurements. Readjust if necessary. To adjust the rear shelf flaps, the rear shelf and the luggage compartment lid must first be correctly adjusted. Start by checking the rear shelf flap gap measurements. If the gap measurements are not correct, they must be adjusted. Raise the rear shelf using the easy load function. By pressing the button again, the easy load function can be stopped in any position. Loosen the 3 bolts on the rear shelf flap so that it can be moved later on by applying only light pressure. Using the easy load function, return the rear shelf to its original position. Once the signal has sounded, close the luggage compartment lid. Align the rear shelf flaps. If the gap measurements are correct, raise the rear shelf using the easy load function. And tighten the 3 bolts to the correct torque. Finally, check the gap measurements. Readjust if necessary. To adjust the luggage compartment lid flaps, the folding roof must be open. Before adjustment work can be performed, the rear shelf, luggage compartment lid and rear shelf flaps must be correctly adjusted. The luggage compartment lid flap unit must also be correctly adjusted. Check the gap measurements for the luggage compartment lid flap. It's important that the lines fit into an overall picture. To adjust the gap measurements with the luggage compartment lid open, using the easy load function, extend the flaps a little. To enable the top shell to be removed. Remove the 7 clips so that they can't fall into the mechanism. Move the easy load function back. Once the signal has sounded, close the luggage compartment lid. Loosen the 2 bolts so that it can be moved by applying only light pressure. Put the top shell loosely on top and align the flap. Remove the top shell, fix the 2 bolts in place and tighten to the correct torque. Open the luggage compartment lid, extend the easy load function a little, fit the 7 clips and the top shell. Move the easy load function back again. And close the luggage compartment lid once the signal has sounded. Finally, check the gap measurements. Readjust if necessary. After servicing work on the folding roof, or in the case of customer complaints, adjustment work on the folding roof forward section may be necessary. To adjust the folding roof fasteners, loosen the 3 bolts just enough to allow the fasteners to be moved by applying light pressure. When closing the folding roof, ensure that the fasteners engage correctly. Tighten the securing bolts from the inside to the correct torque. If the end position is not confirmed when closing the folding roof, it could be due to the micro switch in the fastener. The fault can often be eliminated by adjusting the joint rod. To do this, loosen both bolts. Close the fastener completely and tighten both bolts. Open and close the roof to check it. If there are wind noises in the side window area, check the bias tension in the folding roof forward section. For this, it's essential that the gap measurements and the height offset of the folding roof forward section are correct. When the roof is closed, if the bias tension is correct, the knurled screw must lie on the centering pin. To adjust the folding roof, open it a little until the lock of the knurled screw can be opened. Close the folding roof again. Turn the knurled screw until it touches the centering pin. Open the roof a little again and turn the knurled screw a further 1/4 revolution. Close the lock of the knurled screw. Close the roof and check the position of the centering pin again. Finally, check the gap measurements and the height offset of the folding roof forward section and, if necessary, repeat the adjustment process. Before adjusting the folding roof forward section, check the gap measurements and the height offset. The height offset should be 1 ± 1 millimeter. The front gap measurement and the gap to the folding roof center section should be 7.5 ± 1 millimeter. Open the folding roof to make the adjustment. Remove or add shims to adjust the height of the folding roof forward section at the fastener and at the folding roof center section. The side bolts of the centering pin fixtures should not be loosened if this is not essential. If the gap measurements and height offset are correct, the bias tension should be adapted as described in the previous chapter. Finally, check the gap measurement and correct if necessary. The following chapter shows the replacement of the seal of the folding roof center section and the resulting adjustment work. After this type of service work, a leak tightness test must be carried out in accordance with the service literature. To replace the seal of the folding roof center section, move the folding roof to the service position. Remove the roof interior from the roof center section and the center hinge trim on both sides. The seal is normally replaced with the roof installed, but here in the film it's shown with the folding roof center section removed in order to demonstrate the procedure more clearly. To remove the seal, loosen the nuts on both sides and unscrew the bolt. remove the seal from the guide. Completely remove the remaining butyl. Pull off the foam tape and remove adhesive residues. For the assembly, stick foam tape into the roof angle, starting at the radius. Stick butyl cord on both sides on the front face along the contour. Stick a ball of butyl cord on the end of the retaining rail. If the seal is to be reused, carefully remove adhesive residue. On both sides, stick butyl cord on the inside of the threaded bolts. Fit the sealing rubber. When doing so, keep the sealing flange away from the butyl cord and press the lip under the corner. Press firmly around the butyl cord. From above, push and insert the seal on top of the retaining rail. Press the inside part of the seal onto the retaining rail. Fit the seal on the other side in the same way. Fix the upper side. The seal must be free of irregularities. Fit the bolts on both sides. Press the seal downwards while tightening the nuts to the correct torque. Completely close the gap between the seal and the roof with butyl cord. Squeeze sealing compound under the end of the seal, and in the side of the cavity between the inner lip and the butyl cord. Complete the fitting of the seal. Dab off excess sealing compound. Press the seal around the bolt and remove adhesive residue. To adjust the folding roof center section, the folding roof forward section must be properly adjusted. The gap measurement over the entire length should be 7.5 plus minus 1 millimeter. Here the gap to the forward section is too small, and to the rear window too large. The height offset should be 1 plus minus 1 millimeter. Here, the roof center section is too low at the front and too high at the back. Open the folding roof a little to make the adjustment. When doing this, remember that after 7 minutes, there can be a pressure drop. Loosen the 3 bolts on both sides. And adjust the number of shims to obtain the required height offset corrections. Move the roof backwards to correct the gap measurement and fix the bolts in place. Close the folding roof and check the gap measurement and the height offset again, and correct if necessary. Check that the joins are neat. Finally, tighten the bolts to the correct torque. Remove the C-pillar trim to replace its seal. Remove the covering cap and unscrew the 2 nuts. Remove the C-pillar seal. If the seal is to be reused, carefully remove the adhesive residue. Carefully remove the adhesive residue from the C-pillar trim and pull off the remains of the foam strips. Remove the retaining rail. Remove the rest of the foam strip that was under the retaining rail. Before fitting the seal, put a piece of foam strip on the edge, making sure it's flush. Then stick it along the radius. And fold it over the edge. Stick butyl cord from the middle of the foam strip. Over the edge, along the contour. Fit the retaining rail again. Starting with an overlap on the retaining rail, stick and fold butyl cord on the radius. Fold it round to reach the upper edge of the plate, making sure it's flush. To prepare the C-pillar sealing rubber, squeeze sealing compound in the groove at the end. And in the keyway of the pocket. If the seal is new, remove the protection from the threaded bolts. Fit the C-pillar sealing rubber. Check that the sealing rubber is properly positioned. Press the inner side, lower part of the sealing rubber fully under the metal rail. Apply light pressure to the pocket filled with sealing compound and press the overlap of the seal onto the contour of the retaining rail. Fit the 2 nuts and press while tightening them to the correct torque. Fit the covering cap. Press on the seal and remove sealant residue. Use super glue to stick a piece of foam strip on the overlap. The foam strip should be stuck flush to the edge, 1/3 of it on the plate. Refit the C-pillar trim. How to close the folding roof in an emergency was shown in film VT66. Often in such cases, the luggage compartment lid flap units are removed without having marked their position beforehand. They then have to be realigned. In the emergency, the luggage compartment lid was also closed and locked. Since, in this position, some micro switches and sensors are not in the end position, the folding roof cannot be moved hydraulically. To unlock the lock of the luggage compartment lid mechanically, open the rear seat back hatch. Use a suitable tool to unlock the lock of the luggage compartment lid by pulling the Bowden cable. The Bowden cable is attached and secured to the motor. Raise the luggage compartment lid to the rear. Pay attention to the movement of the wiring harness. Fit the luggage compartment lid flap unit on both sides. Fasten the 3 bolts just tight enough to allow the flap unit to be aligned. Once the gap measurements are correct, tighten the bolts to the correct torque. Connect the flap unit motor to 12 volts on both sides. And retract the flaps to bring the micro switches into the correct end position. Connect the wiring harness plugs. To engage the mechanism of the luggage compartment lid in the locked position and bring the micro switches to the end position, remove the luggage compartment interior trim. Fold the luggage compartment lid again. Raise the luggage compartment lid hydraulic cylinder on both sides to take the micro switch to its end position. The mechanism of the luggage compartment lid will engage at the top. Check the filling level of the hydraulic pump and correct if necessary. Check that the hydraulic pump bolt is closed. Fit the luggage compartment interior trim. A tip: the luggage compartment lid lock only operates electrically when all micro switches and sensors are in their end position. Finally, perform a functional check of the roof.